Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the hour of the time. We are roasting the hoaxers today. We are laying bare the blathering BS that has been occupying a lot of your attention. Instead of devoting your attention to what you should be devoting it to, instead of paying attention to what's happening to your country and to your world, you are out chasing your tails like a bunch of little children on Halloween. And propagating this stuff and passing it around, and who believes it and who doesn't. You're going to have a lot of explaining to do after this. And you should. You should have an awful lot of explaining to do to an awful lot of people who you've been leading astray and who've been leading themselves astray. The world today is full of lies and deception. We can no longer believe what anybody tells us. I don't care who they are, not even our own mothers. Because about half of the things that they tell us are also fantasies that they were taught when they were young, or that they got into because they didn't investigate anything. And don't write me a letter telling me not to pick on your mother. I said mothers, which includes mine. And I'm not picking on mothers. I'm just telling you the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is we're stuck running around in fantasy land. Like the three monkeys. Only it's hear no truth, see no truth, speak no truth. That's really what's going on there. It really is. And an awful lot of other things, ladies and gentlemen. We're lost in la-la land, many of us. Others are trying to find our way in reality. And if we can, we're going to bring you out of that theme park that you're stuck in and make you face the hookers out there on Anaheim Boulevard.
Well, I saw the thing coming out of the sky, but one long horn and one big eye. I commenced to shaking in the city.
That's that's what by choice aliens drink by choice tequila, and probably a lot of the people who believe in them. Oh boy. Well, gee, what are some of the most recent things that are going on here? Well, let me give you some of them. And I just got so many here, I don't even know where to start. It's amazing. There's a let me see if I can find it here. Oh, yes. Well, I've misplaced that one, but I've got so many, it doesn't matter. I can just read these things all day and all night if I want to. Here's one. October 30th, 1996. On the Gordon Elliott Show, Fox Network, Jack Kasher, Ph.D., doesn't say what his Ph.D. is in, it's probably Looney Tuneology, was revealing his views that the NASA STS footage showing a beam coming up from the Earth and an object pulling a right-angle turn at more than an estimated 100 Gs was an advanced, intelligently controlled spacecraft and not a particle of ice as NASA claims. Due to the fact that the broadcast was caught already in progress, we were unable to note where Dr. Kasher works, but the tone of the conversation implied that he worked with NASA, and NASA says that they don't know the guy. How about that? Well, let me tell you what that was about, folks. There was, if any of you who watch the NASA channel, you see the beautiful color photography from the space shuttle. And they just keep that going all the time. The space shuttle obviously just has a camera on, just pointed out there. And it's always in beautiful color. Just absolutely beautiful color. All of the images are crisp and just some of the best photography with some of the best technology that you've ever seen. It's beautiful. Well, all of a sudden on this day, see, we're going along looking at the beautiful NASA color photography and everything was clear and crisp. All of a sudden, the whole image changed. The color photography shut off and it was replaced with black and white, and everything was sort of fuzzy, out of focus. And then you see this white thing go across the screen, and you see this other white thing come up and go past it, and then you see it do a right angle turn and it's gone. And what it looked like was somebody playing with Photoshop on a computer. That's really what it looked like. And then the beautiful color pictures came back, and all in focus, and everything was nice. Well, there's more than just people watching the NASA channel. There are people who monitor these signals, where they come from and where they go. And people who were monitoring this on that day, and I'm talking about space nuts who are electronic geniuses, say that signal did not come from the space shuttle, ladies and gentlemen, but from a CIA facility in Virginia, which they were able to pinpoint by triangulation, and that it wasn't photography from the space shuttle at all. Well, all these wackos jumped on board, and the next thing we saw was Donald Francis Ecker III on television being interviewed about this, and the commentators asked him whether it could be fake or not. and he says fake, and then it's bleeped out because he used an expletive there. He said, fake, blank, my blank, this is an extraterrestrial craft. Donald Francis Ecker III is the so-called research director for UFO magazine, which has a history that is just incredible. UFO magazine is owned by Vicki Cooper, no relation to me whatsoever. Vicki Cooper used to be a high-class, highly paid hooker who worked for Sidney Biddle Barrows, the Mayflower Madam. Well, apparently the Mayflower Madam operation stepped on somebody's toes because their clientele were diplomats and rich, wealthy people and Hollywood stars and all of this kind of thing for their little call girl ring there. Well, the feds entrapped Vicki somehow. That has never come to light yet. And Vicki turned state's evidence against the Mayflower Madam, her boss, and her fellow hookers. And they put her in the Witness Protection Program, gave her some money, and sent her to Los Angeles to start UFO magazine. Well, Vicki had never heard of UFOs, didn't know anything about UFOs, didn't want anything to do with UFOs. When she got to Los Angeles, she was met there by Barry Taff. Barry Taff has worked extensively for the neuropsychiatric laboratory of the University of Southern California, Los Angeles, UCLA, very closely with Dr. Louis Jolyon West, the premier mind control manipulator of the intelligence community in the United States government. Well, Vicki had never known him before in her life, but she was met at the airport by Barry Taff, who then installed her in an apartment just over his own apartment. Vicki made no secret of the fact that she didn't like UFOs, didn't care about UFOs, didn't want anything to do with UFOs, didn't really want to have a UFO magazine, but the CIA had financed UFO magazine, and it was part of her condition of staying out of jail, so she did it. And she told everybody, that everybody in the UFO field, all of these ufologists, she told them, are CIA agents, and that the CIA was financing her magazine. Made no secret of it whatsoever. There's lots of people who heard her say this and who have relayed that story to us. I documented it in my book and named 2 of the people who heard her say it. Don't want to name them all, they might disappear. Well, Donald Francis Ecker is now the research director for UFO magazine. After being there for a while, he married Vicki Cooper, so now it's a husband and wife team. We investigated Donald Francis Ecker's background because most of what he has written and what he does and what he puts out is not just questionable, it's just downright phony, fake lies. Well, Donald Francis Ecker has told the world that his qualifications for being the research director and for being believed on the subject of UFOs is that he was a police officer and a criminal investigator for many police departments and state law enforcement agencies across the United States, and he has named many of them, Philadelphia being one, Boise, Idaho being another. Well, we simply just went and checked their personnel records and told them that he had applied to us for a job and asked, for some kind of a recommendation from them. Lo and behold, every single one of the departments and agencies that he listed all said that he has never worked for them in any law enforcement capacity or criminal investigative capacity whatsoever. He just turned out to be another fraud. We did find out that Donald Francis Ecker had applied for and was given a job with the Idaho State Prison as a lowest rank prison guard, where he worked for a while. Donald Francis Ecker then quit the prison to go to work for the Canyon County Sheriff's Department as a narcotics deputy trainee. You see, he never became a deputy. He never finished the training course. 6 weeks after entering the training course for the Canyon County Sheriff's Department as a narcotics deputy trainee, Donald Francis Ecker was fired for cause. Fired, ladies and gentlemen, because apparently he was going out and getting drunk almost every night in the local bars, flashing his badge, intimidating the bartenders and the customers, and of course, these people notified the sheriff and he got rid of Donald Francis Ecker, who then went back to the Idaho State Prison as a lowest rank prison guard, where during a training session, he shot off his left leg with a 12-gauge shotgun during a training exercise when none of the weapons were even supposed to be loaded. He tells people today that he lost his leg in Vietnam as an officer in the United States Army as a member of Special Forces. We also checked with the United States Army. Donald Francis Ecker was never an officer in the United States Army or any other military service. He was never, ever in Special Forces, and he never served in Vietnam. So there you have it. And that's just one. I got lots more, folks. Lots more. Isn't it amazing? Now we have Dr. Norman Berggren of Berggren Research and Engineering. He says he has discovered extraterrestrial objects present at Earth's moon, something that I revealed years ago. The only problem with it is all the photographs are fake, phony. They're not really photographs of the moon. They're photographs of a mock-up of the moon that was built on the grounds of the Walt Disney Studios inside a closely locked and guarded sound stage way back during the early 60s. That's been documented, ladies and gentlemen, and I exposed that a long time ago. But Dr. Norman Berggren either doesn't know this, or he knows it and is a part of what's going on here. He is, I guess he owns Berggren Research and Engineering. He claims he has discovered extraterrestrial objects present at Earth's moon. During the 31-hour, 31-minute stay on the moon, Commander Charles Pete Conrad and lunar module pilot Alan A. Bean photographed an object on the distant horizon You study any of these moon photographs, folks, and there is no distant horizon. The horizon is no further than 100 meters in every one of the photographs that you're ever going to see from NASA. Photographed an object on the distant horizon above the moon's surface on the Apollo 12 mission, according to Berggren. The object is cylindrical in appearance with a blue overhead streamer, and it also appears to have a yellow emission at one end. The object is believed to be the tip of a projection from a much larger cylindrically shaped object. Ladies and gentlemen, I have seen this photograph and many others. It is nothing more than a lens flare caused by sunlight entering the front of the lens of the camera. That's all it is. And so much for that. And if you don't believe it, get copies of the photographs and look at it yourself. Take it to someone who has a degree in photography like me, have it analyzed, and you'll find that it is a lens flare. Now here's another one. A huge craft is orbiting the rings of Saturn, says a new book by a NASA scientist. On January 30th, the Alan Handelman radio show featured the NASA scientist, here again, Dr. Berggren, discussing his new book, The Ringmakers of Saturn. The only problem is Dr. Berggren is not a NASA scientist as he claims. Not at all. So that's one lie that we've caught him in. And there's more. His book is called The Ringmakers of Saturn, implying that there is extraterrestrial life forms that manufactured the rings of Saturn. He claimed that NASA got photos from the Voyager probe of the rings around Saturn, including an image of a cigar-shaped craft orbiting the rings. The craft was approximately the size of the Earth, he says. Dr. Berggren believes that this is an intelligently controlled craft, which he referred to as an electromagnetic vehicle. Another lie. If it were a craft, there's no way that he could know how it was propelled or anything else. Not from a photograph, anyway. He claimed that the portholes could actually be seen in the side of this huge cigar-shaped craft. He estimated that the craft was big enough to hold an entire civilization. Asked why NASA has not released this, Berggren said that the 1958 Space Act states that the public will be informed regarding results of photos and data only if it is determined that they are not a threat. He said a craft of this size would be considered a threat and would have great military significance. That's from the Colorado MUFON News. That's the Mutual UFO, you know, the UFOlogy experts. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the 1958 Space Act states no such thing. And if you don't believe me, you can get a copy of it and read it. You can also read the NASA Charter, which says all information collected or developed by NASA, all scientific achievements, inventions developed by NASA, all photographs, all research was to be made available to the public always. That's what it really says. Oh, what else we got here? Oh, there's a correction here. It says the portholes were not portholes at all, but exhaust ports. So, they have this giant spacecraft which now has exhaust ports, indicating that it has to have some kind of fuel to burn, which means they didn't come far. And they're not going to go far, because fuel is exhaustible. How about that? So that's so much for Dr. Berggren. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to Mr. Art Bullshit Bell. Art Blathering Bullshit Bell is the real truth of it. Art Bell has been promoting that the Hale-Bopp comet is accompanied by a huge extraterrestrial spacecraft larger than the Earth. which is sending out signals of warning before it, and that it is hollow. How he determines that, I don't know. And that it's full of an invading extraterrestrial force which is coming to this earth to destroy us. He has been propagating this and talking about it on his syndicated overnight radio show for months now. And I told you that this was not true. In fact, 99% of everything that you ever hear on the Art Bell Show is not true. It's just a blatant lie. Art Bell is a fellow traveler, a communist, a change agent for the New World Order. Now listen to this very carefully. This is from Dr. Olivier R. Hainaut, from the Institute of Astronomy, University of Hawaii. Now, a man in Hawaii named Joe Gill on the telephone told me that a scientist at the Mauna Kea Observatory had told him that there really was this spacecraft accompanying the Hale-Bopp comet. Well, I called him up. None of them ever heard of Joe Gill. None of them ever spoke to Joe Gill. Turned out to be another lie. Here's what Dr. Olivier R. Hainaut says. Remember, he's from the Institute of Astronomy, University of Hawaii. He is one of the astronomers who works at the Haleakala Observatory and the Mauna Kea Observatory. He says, images of comet Hale-Bopp showing an allegedly mysterious companion object have appeared on websites with the URLs http://www.streber.com/UFOnews/bop5.html and http://www.artbell.com/art/Halebop.html. Here's what he says, ladies and gentlemen. These images are fraudulent. The mysterious companion object is not real, having been added to the image, most likely using digital image processing techniques. The original image appears at a website with the URL. This is where you can look at the original that was altered to make the ones that Art Bell and Whitley Strieber are promoting as this extraterrestrial invasion craft. And they've really got people going on this one. I mean, people all over the world have bid on this. Why? I don't know. I guess because they're just inherently stupid. Maybe that's why. Here's the site where you can look at the original photograph and compare it to the fakes. http://www.ifa.hawaii.edu/images/Hale-Bopp. He says, I took this image on September 1st, 1995, using the University of Hawaii 2.24 meter telescope shortly before 6 hours UTC, or about 8 p.m. on August the 31st, Hawaiian Standard Time. A direct comparison between the central region of both the original and the doctored image is found at http://www.ifa.hawaii.edu/images/hale-bop/THOLEN.jpg. There is no doubt that this September 1st, 1995 image was used for the fraudulent images. A careful comparison of the central region of the original image shows the comet in the same position with respect to the background stars, which means the real and doctored images must have been taken at essentially the same time. As such, the images could not have been taken from Eastern Asia or Australia, where the sun was still up, nor from Western, North, or South America, where the comet was very low in the sky. The images of stars on both show the same amount of sharpness, so an observatory site capable of providing approximately arc-second seeing must have been involved. The faintest stars visible in both images are essentially the same, meaning that the combination of telescope aperture and exposure length must be the same. Given that the stars are not trailed, the exposures must have been short, meaning that a large telescope must have been used. The relative brightnesses of the stars shown are also the same, meaning that the same filters must have been used and combined into a single image in the same way. Lastly, the pixel size is the same, all of which indicates that these are in fact the same image. Hawaii is the only place with large telescopes that could have taken the image at the time indicated by the comet's placement among the stars, and with the degree of sharpness provided by the atmosphere above the observatory site. The 2.24-meter telescope was the only one on the mountain equipped with a camera that provided the correct pixel size, and the only one that used the particular combination of red, green, and blue filters to produce the original color composite. There is doubt about the origin of this image. There is no doubt about the origin of this image. The mysterious companion object does not appear on the original, which means it was added to the copy by some unknown individual in an attempt to deceive the public. The original images are not secret, as claimed on the first two websites mentioned above by Art Bell and Whitley Strieber, having been available on the Institute for Astronomy's website since September of 1995, and it has also appeared on Sky Publishing's website with permission. The allegedly mysterious astrophysicist who took the image was never at the point of making a public announcement to claim discovery of the object. There is no object for which discovery can be claimed. The identity of the faked image with the one I took was called to my attention only today, and this statement was prepared as a rebuttal. Dr. David J. Tholen, Tholen, Institute for Astronomy, University of Hawaii, January the 15th, 1996, and you heard it here on the hour of the time first. And not today. For when they first made these statements, I told you it was phony, it was a fake, and that they're all lying to you. Why? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if they can convince you all that there is an threat from space by some extraterrestrial species, wouldn't you all be willing to sacrifice and give up some or all of your freedoms in order to come together as one humanity in a one-world government where we might pool our resources, technology, and military might in order to oppose this threat? That's why. That's exactly why, ladies and gentlemen. Art Bell is going to distance himself from the whole thing to try to save his non-existent reputation. For anybody with a brain has always known that if you listen to the Art Bell show, you're going to be spinning around in la-la land for the rest of your life. He's going to claim that he was set up by Courtney Brown, or that Brown was set up by the mystery astronomer who doesn't exist. Both of Bell's claims will be false. He wasn't set up by anyone. Bell is part of all of this. Brown and Strieber will be on Art Bell's show tonight. So if you want to hear a whole bunch of people backpedaling, if you want to listen to how they're going to explain this, listen to Art Bell tonight. I think I'm going to find it hilarious and extremely entertaining. And if you have any brains, you will too. There's no question about the fraudulent nature of Art Bell's photograph, which has been presently, or up to the present, I should say, prominently displayed on his and Whitley Strieber's web pages. Different photos of different regions of the sky cannot have the same star field, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you who are familiar with the way Art Bell and friends orchestrated this hoax, what does this say about Art Bell and his co-conspirators, Whitley Strieber and remote viewer Courtney Brown, who have all lied to you repeatedly over and over again? What does it say about the validity of so-called remote viewing? Last night, Art Bell was conveniently sick. He couldn't face you last night, so he spent the night and the day cooking up the story that he's going to give you tonight. But it doesn't matter, because if you believe it, he'll move back to the Philadelphia experiment and all the other blathering crap that he normally feeds you. And just like he always has, he will continue to fill your ears and your lies with pablum. Keep you spinning around in circles, cul-de-sacs, chasing your tails. While more and more freedoms are stripped from the American people because you're not paying attention to what you should be paying attention to, while the world moves closer and closer to one world totalitarian, socialist, utopian government. Translate dictatorship. You had better screw your heads on straight, ladies and gentlemen, for you are being waltzed through the rose garden. And since you have on rose-colored glasses, you can't even see the roses. You think it's just a bunch of bushes with leaves on them. Isn't it funny? Isn't all of this strange? I could go on for days and weeks and months and strip the mask from off these people, and I could make a career of it because there's so much of it to be done. Maybe tomorrow I will play the tape of my interview with Travis Walton and expose his lies, for he's lying also. Travis Walton never saw a spacecraft, never saw extraterrestrial beings, and neither did anybody who was with him on that night when he claims that he was abducted. Truth is, nobody saw anything except a light in the woods. Nobody knows where Travis Walton went, but Travis Walton was never taken up on any spacecraft, never saw any extraterrestrials, never saw a spacecraft, and neither did his companions that night see any of those things. And if you got to him, soon enough after the whole thing happened, he told the truth. But as soon as he discovered he could make a lot of money by telling lies and bending the truth, he started doing it, and he's been doing it ever since. The movie Fire in the Sky is a lie. Travis Walton's book is a lie. If it's not, let him sue me. He can't, ladies and gentlemen, because I have an interview with him on tape in his own words, where he himself will tell you that everything he's telling you now is nothing but a lie. You're listening to about the only man in America who will tell you the truth consistently, over and over again, every day, every time. And the only one that when he makes a mistake, meaning me, will come back on the air as soon as he finds out and tell you that it was a mistake. You're listening to The Hour of the Time. I'm William Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, in the report from Iron Mountain, an astounding admission was made. Though not yet expressly put forth, I'm quoting directly from it, is the development of a long-range sequence of space research projects with largely unattainable goals. This kind of program offers several advantages lacking in the social welfare model. First, it is unlikely to phase itself out regardless of the predictable surprises science has in store for us. The universe is too big. In the event some individual project unexpectedly succeeds, there would be no dearth of substitute problems. For example, if colonization of the moon proceeds on schedule, it could then become necessary to establish a beachhead on Mars or Jupiter, and so on. Second, it need be no more dependent on the general supply-demand economy than its military prototype. Third, it lends itself extraordinarily well to arbitrary control. Space research can be viewed as the nearest modern equivalent yet devised to the pyramid building and similar ritualistic enterprises of ancient societies. It is true that the scientific value of the space program, even of what has already been accomplished, is substantial on its own terms. But current programs are absurdly and obviously disproportionate. And it goes on over here. Let me see here. Credibility, in fact, lies at the heart of the problem of developing a political substitute for war. This is where the space race proposals, in many ways so well suited as economic substitutes for war, fall short. The most ambitious and unrealistic space project cannot of itself generate a believable external menace. It has been hotly argued that such a menace would offer the last best hope of peace, etc., by uniting mankind against the danger of destruction by creatures from other planets or from outer space. Experiments have been proposed to test the credibility of an out-of-our-world invasion threat. It is possible that a few of the more difficult to explain flying saucer incidents of recent years were in fact early experiments of this kind. And we have found evidence going all the way back to 1917, ladies and gentlemen, proving that this plan is an old plan. It's not new at all. John Dewey, the professor of philosophy in Columbia University, spoke at a reception in New York City of the special mission from Japan headed by Viscount Ishii. And this is what he said. I quote John Dewey. By the way, he's the socialist father of our failed educational system. Quote, someone remarked that the best way to unite all the nations on this globe would be an attack from some other planet. In the face of such an alien enemy, people would respond with a sense of their unity of interest and purpose. End quote. So that's where all of this is coming from, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll take you out with a little bit.
We are not going to interrupt this record.
Yes, we are. The flying saucer has landed again. Washington. The Secretary of Defense has just said...
That was Skinny Dynamo's record. That's a shame.
This is John Cameron Part 2. Gathered around me are several other spacemen. Tell us, have you come to conquer the world?
Snap the bear.
And now would you repeat that in English?
Don't want the world to have and hold. But why don't you go back where you came from? Don't be angry and drive me away.
We return you now to our studios.
Here is a news item from Washington. The President has just issued a statement to the spacemen, and we quote,
You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoes.
That was Pa Gherkin's record, Shoes.
We switch you again downtown.
This is John Cameron downtown. Professor Strategic of the British Institute, tell us, how were the saucers able to land?
Where do you see...
Motor cooled down, the heat went down.
That was Huckleberry's recording, The Motor Cooled Down.
This is John Cameron again. I believe the spaceman has the final parting word.
See you later, alligator.
We return you now to our studios.
The spacemen have gone again. But look to the skies. The saucers will always be there.
Goodbye, Earth people.
And good riddance, extraterrestrial, E.T., little feller, benevolent, vicious, mean, threatening space brother you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. May God save this republic, and may you all find your brains somewhere, roll them up in a little ball, and stick them in your ear back into your head where they belong.
No one would have believed in the last years of the 19th century that human affairs were being watched from the timeless worlds of space. No one could have dreamed we were being scrutinized as someone with a microscope studies creatures that swarm and multiply in drop water. Few men even considered the possibility of life on other planets. And yet, across the gulf of space, minds immeasurably superior to ours regarded this earth with envious eyes. And slowly and surely, they drew their flags against us.
Listening to the Hour of the Time. I'm William Cooper, named by William Jefferson Clinton in a White House memo as the most dangerous radio host in America. And now you know why.